Okay. If my voice is loud, that's because I'm using a new headset. So, I don't know. It may increase the volume of my voice, but I just watched this video of Ryan Clark, and they talk about a bunch of different things. They talk about Baker Mayfield. They talk about the Cowboys situation, and they also talk about Daniel Jones and that situation. And I'm going to try to comment on all of them. I'm going to try to keep this video under 15. So, I'm going to be making quick points, and I'm going to keep the video moving. Sorry. All right, so we're about to get started.
Thank you for getting up with us at ESPN. As you can see, we are jam-packed this morning, and we have a lot to get to, primarily football conversation, and it starts in Big D. The Dallas Cowboys off to a 3-0 start. So you would think that everything is about as calm as it could be, and you would think that Jason Garrett's seat is about as safe as it's been at any time in his tenure. But take a listen to Jerry Jones on the radio yesterday when asked about a possible extension of Garrett's contract.
I'm not ignoring.
I'm going to say this now. Okay. Somebody on the panel is going to comment that he needs to get to a Super Bowl. A Super Bowl or bust for Jason Garrett. I agree with that. I think that I don't even care if he makes it to the NFC Championship game. It wouldn't matter at all. When you have the best running back in the NFL, when you have the best offensive line in the NFL, and when people are looking at Dak Prescott like he's a MVP candidate, and that defense has vastly improved over the last 2 years, there's no way you do not make a Super Bowl run when you're hands down the most talented team in the NFL. I'm talking about from the quarterback to the running back. You even got a number one wide receiver who's probably a top 5 wide receiver in the NFC. And then you have that defense and that offensive line. There's no way you should not get to the Super Bowl this year.
In your question, but I certainly wouldn't want to respond in any way because that's just not what we'd want to do relative to that area of our business.
I don't want to quibble, but if you say I'm not ignoring your question and then ignore the question, I suppose you are ignoring the question. Anyway, as far as Jason Garrett, his 80 regular season wins are second most in Cowboys history. No one is ever going to catch Tom Landry.
And I think that's because the most successful coaches that coached the Cowboys over the past 30 or 40 years, Tom Landry is the only one that's been there for an extended period of time. A long time. I believe Jimmy Johnson was there for 4-5 years. Barry Switzer, I believe, was there for 2 or 3 years. And Jason Garrett has been the coach of this team for 10 years, I believe. Probably longer than that. But they just haven't been winning at all, to be honest. And that's why he has more wins than Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, because he's been there longer.
We all know the real issues lie in the postseason. So, Maria, what gives?
Where's the question? Our NFL insider, Dan Graziano. So thank God that you're here today. What are the updates that you can give us on head coach Jason Garrett's future in Dallas?
Look, they've done this before. In 2014, Jason Garrett was entering the last year of his contract. They didn't give him a new one before the season started. He went 12-4, and then they gave him a 5-year extension, which he's now at the end of. So they like to do it this way. The important thing for people to understand is Jerry Jones would like Jason Garrett to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys for a long time and be successful at it. That's his top choice. But if he does not have a successful season this year with a playoff run, you could be looking at changes. You could be hearing names like Lincoln Riley, or inside the building names like Chris Richard, Kellen Moore, and there are even people who think that the next Dallas Cowboys coach at some point could be Jason Witten. So
it makes me wonder how Kellen Moore, who just, 6-7 years ago was a college graduate from Boise State and was looked at as one of the most talented, not one of the most talented, one of the smartest quarterbacks in the draft. And I believe he gets picked up. I don't think he was drafted, and if he was, he probably was a late round pick, probably like 6th or 7th round. And if he didn't go in either one of those rounds, he might have been undrafted, like a a free agent signing, a rookie free agent signing, and he went to the Lions. I believe he was a part of that Lions team that didn't win a game. Or it might have been a little after that. No, it was after that. Sorry. Yeah, he's been on the Lions. He's been on the Cowboys, and his career was over suddenly. You didn't really hear much about Kellen Moore after that, and then he just becomes I think he had a job before he became the offensive coordinator, but now he's the offensive coordinator, and now they're talking about him possibly being the head coach of the fucking Cowboys. He left football a few years ago. And within 5 years, he would be a head coach of an NFL franchise. I believe he was like 22, 23 coming out of college. He played for like 7 years to about, 29, 30 maybe. And before he's even 35, he may be a head coach in the NFL. It's crazy, how his rise through the ranks, how quickly it happened. It just makes me wonder, man, like how the hell did any of that happen? And there has to be a great explanation for why he's rising as fast as he is. Because to be honest, I didn't hear anything about Kellen Moore before he got the head coaching the offensive coordinator job. But apparently he was supposed to be this boy genius like Sean McVay or something like that. It's weird.
Might be soon for that, but those are the kinds of things you're going to hear.
Oh, well, Garrett is the second longest tenured coach at the Dallas Cowboys, but they haven't been to a conference championship since '95, Greeny.
Yeah.
That's because they win, but they don't win when it matters. Just because he has more wins than Jimmy Johnson, just because he has more wins than Barry Switzer, does not mean that he did a better job than those guys did. And he was there probably 2 to 3 times longer than they've been there.
And let me tell you, when you said the name Jason Witten, the entire room just sort of perked up here a little bit. So
if Jerry Jones was bold enough to hire Jason Witten as the head coach of that team, they deserve whatever happens to that team. Really? Jason Witten, the guy who's a failed sports, sports commentator on national TV. I don't know, man. You're better off hiring outside. I believe they should move on from Jason Garrett. I don't think there's nothing Jason Garrett could do outside of winning the Super Bowl that would make me want to re-sign him. Because, me as a person, I'm not good enough with mediocrity. Mediocrity is good enough to please some people, but you're not really putting a dent in anything. You're just surviving. You're not really destroying. You're not winning. You're not winning when it matters. And that's all Jason Garrett has been doing for the last 10 years of his coaching career, is survive. Like they just said, he was a shit coach for years, and as soon as his contract is up, his team goes on a 12-4, gets a 12-4 record. He gets an extension. And I'm not going to say they've been shit since, but they haven't done anything. They had, one playoff win since his last contract? Since his contract was signed, he had one playoff win. So, I don't know, man.
What do we make of this situation? Having a season going as well as this one is, with absolutely everything on the line, it is Super Bowl or bust for Dallas in the way they have handled this.
Can they get to the Super Bowl? I keep hearing people talk about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and how good they look and how they're the best team in the NFL right now and all this other stuff. They played the New York Giants week 1 with that suspect-ass defense. They played the Washington Redskins with a better defense, but they're not as good. They're maybe middle of the pack as far as ranked defenses go in the NFL. And that's being generous. And then they played the Miami Dolphins. That's just a laughing stock. If the NFL had an expansion team this year, the Miami Dolphins would be the worst team in the league, period. How is that a good thing? I did a sportscaster video, and I said how it's not enough to look at the numbers to determine whether or not somebody's having a good year. You have to take in consideration of the opponents they're playing against. Because if you're passing for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns versus a 31st or 32nd ranked defense, that is not as impressive as passing for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns versus the number 1 defense in the NFL. I mean, opponents matter, man. And Dak has not shown me anything that says that this dude is ready this year. To be honest, I think him getting Zeke back, him having Amari Cooper, that offensive line, and that defense, and they're 3-0 right now, and people are looking at him like he's an MVP, is just showing me that, yeah, people should expect this from him. You're supposed to beat the bad teams. You're not supposed to be praised for it. It actually makes me question him even more. You know, because what would make me respect Dak is if he came out to the media and he said, look, I'm having a good year so far, but I have not played top-tier talent yet. Talent that I could potentially play in the playoffs. That would make me respect him more. And I get it. You don't want to down your opponents. But everybody and their goddamn grandmother know that the Giants are trash, the Redskins are trash, and the Dolphins are the trash. Like, there is no way they're good enough for you to ride on that to an MVP. I'm sorry.
Do you like the notion that the coach is coaching for his job with this situation?
Well, players are always playing for their job, so I don't have any problem with the coach coaching for his job in this situation, but I do have a problem with Jerry Jones always being out in front in the media and saying things that he is going to talk about or he isn't going to talk about when he's actually always talking about everything. So Jerry Jones wants the attention on him, which is why Jason Garrett is probably the perfect coach no matter how this season turns out.
For me, the thing is, we're used to hearing Jerry Jones talk about the people he wants to give money to. We've heard him talk about Dak. They obviously talked about Ezekiel Elliott. And so in this situation, we know that he loves Jason Garrett, but this is a proof.
I'm sorry about the quality of this video. I think it was skipping and stuff before I even did the video, and I was skipping even more. And I don't know.
Me years.
I think it's a poor quality video, to be honest.
And more so than not knowing if Jason Garrett is going to be the coach next year, I believe Jerry already knows who he wants to replace him. That's the question we should be asking. This is a year that he's going to be Super Bowl or bust. I believe if they don't get to that point, if they're not at least contending in the NFC Championship, that Jason Garrett is gone and Jerry Jones finally moves on to somebody else.
And that somebody else is, do you think it's Lincoln Riley? Do you think it's Jason Witten?
I would hope.
Jerry Jones needs to hire somebody at head coach that is going to prop up that defense. I feel like that defense is on the cusp of being something very special. But because a lot of the emphasis is on the offense and taking care of the offense, I think that defense don't get as much care as it should. You know, and if you could hire like a defensive coordinator that can then hire an offensive guy that can put together a great game plan. Like if you could hire like I don't know, man. Like whatever defensive kind of minded head coach that you hire, see if they can like bring on Lincoln Riley as an offensive coordinator or something like that. You need a defensive coordinator. I don't like the fact that we're straying away from defense. Like defense is not pivotal in winning titles. Ask the Kansas City Chiefs, are the defensive players on his team important for him to win a title? Ask him. Look at the Super Bowl, man. Both defenses played out of their minds. And the team that was able to break through first won the game. So ask if not, is defense not important to winning titles? Because I heard one of these guys on TV say that, oh, I'm tired of people saying defense wins championships. Offense puts points on the board. Okay. All right. So how many, and let me just ask this, I believe I asked this before, but how many number one offenses do you see winning Super Bowls without at least a top 10 defense? You tell me one time we saw a number one offense win the Super Bowl with like a 20th or less ranked defense, and I'll change my whole perspective on it. You know, I'm not going to even go 20th because you have some 20th ranked defenses that are not that bad. Let's say 25th, like the bottom like 7. A defense that's ranked in the bottom 7 of the NFL, but they had the number one offense and they won the Super Bowl. I want somebody to find that shit for me. Because I can tell you how many number one defenses have won the Super Bowl and how many bottom 7 offenses and won it. And number one defenses won the fucking Super Bowl. So, I don't know. Let's go.
Hope it's not Jason Witten, and that's no disrespect to Jason Witten, but we've done I want the head coach to be the dude that will sit in my box and come over for Thanksgiving. He needs to go about this search in a way that this organization is America's team because they win, not because we talk about them all the time.
And let me add to that, Dominique, that under normal circumstances, I would not be in favor.
The reason why they're America's team is because of the fan base. There are Cowboys fans, I'm pretty sure, in all 50 states. And probably Cowboys fans in other fucking countries. That's the reason why they're America's team. Not because they win. It's because people are their fans. And they believe that's America's team. To be honest, I don't think there's any team today that's America's team, to be honest. And New England can't be America's team because people hate them. People hate the shit out of them. Like, if they could accuse them of some serious heinous crimes to get them convicted of some shit, they probably would. I mean, they hate New England with every fiber of their being. So, New England can't be America's team because they're not beloved enough. Unless you either live on the East Coast or live like in the Northeast. That's it. I mean, every other state hates them. I'm just saying.
Favor of having a coach in the final year of his contract, because a coach has to have one eye on the present and at least some portion of his other eye on the future. But that's not the circumstance in Dallas this year. We know they have loaded up to win it all this year, and that's the only consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better situation if I was Jason Garrett, frankly, is you come up on a contract year and have a team that is as loaded as they are. And
that is why Jason Garrett is under the fucking gun. It is important for Jason Garrett to win this year. And I'm telling you, he needs to at least get to the Super Bowl. But if I'm Jerry Jones, he needs to win it. There's no just getting there. How many teams have we seen get to the Super Bowl, lose it, and never go back and never look the same way again? I mean, ask the Panthers, who was on the cusp of winning the Super Bowl, couldn't get the job done, and completely fell the fuck off, and now they can't get back to where they were before. Ask the Falcons. Shit, right now, ask the Eagles, to be honest.
Have all the pressure on you to make the right decision, and I think that he's going to succeed. But I disagree with you, Ryan, when you say that they should go out and do it a different way. The one thing that's constant, the one thing that's not going to change is Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones is not an owner who can coexist with a coach that wants any more power or attention than him. So I think a guy like Jason Garrett is perfect, because Jason Garrett...
Bullshit. Jerry Jones won the first 2 of his Super Bowls with Jimmy Johnson. And if any of the coaches he's had on staff to head coach his team, the most outspoken of them is Jimmy Johnson. And they won 2 Super Bowls. And then when you had Barry Switzer, who was a lot more reserved than Jimmy Johnson is, the reason why Barry Switzer won that Super Bowl is because he still had great players from that Jimmy Johnson era. And plus you add Deion Sanders, which I believe Deion Sanders was pivotal for the 49ers and the Cowboys and them winning those Super Bowls. Because he pretty much, he was the tide changer. He was the X factor.
Garrett is fine with playing the background.
Oh, absolutely. I believe Jason Garrett is perfect for Jerry Jones. Right. But when I say do it a different way, if you have a guy like Kellen Moore or Chris Richard who have been brought up through the organization, those people will understand how it works in Dallas. Now, you can't go out and get another Jimmy Jones type or Barry Switzer. We understand that from his coaching standpoint, which is why I don't believe Lincoln Riley is the guy for the Dallas Cowboys.
Is it me, or does Kellen Moore look exactly like exactly like Jason Garrett? Because the first time I saw this, I thought that was Jason Garrett. And then when I saw Kellen Moore with a hat, I realized, all right, yeah, that's Kellen Moore. All right.
Cowboys.
The other thing I'll say is here's a team that is thinking Super Bowl thoughts and has its head coach and quarterback in the last years of their contract. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad
Here's
thing.
why it's
Boy,
smart,
that's
though.
unusual.
Here's why it's smart. You have two people who have performed the best when their backs were against the wall, and right now Dak is showing you that, and Jason Garrett.
All right, so we start in Dallas this morning.
It's too early, and this is the end of the video because I'm gonna break it up into different videos. But it's too early to say that Dak has shown us that he has what it takes. Because you played the Giants, the Redskins, and the Miami Dolphins. Now, any of those teams, who are they beating in the playoffs this year? Not a damn soul. The only team that has the best chance to make the playoffs is the Redskins, and I don't think they will because they're having quarterback issues ridiculously at this point. It's just at a ridiculous point right now. And, I think they should start Dwayne Haskins. You have nothing to lose. And I believe Jay Gruden will get fired at the end of the season. But that's the only team that has the best chance of making the playoffs. Now, Daniel Jones is playing phenomenal football right now, but we don't know if it's going to last all season, especially with Saquon being out. And he's not going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers every single time, which the Bucs are not really a good team. They're not a good team. And I don't want to look at the Buccaneers like they're greater than they are just to prop up Daniel Jones. They're not a good team. I want to see how he plays against some of the better talent, like the Cowboys, like the Eagles. Like we have to see that. But yeah, that's it, man.